What's up everybody, back for another Honkai Star Rail video, and in this video we are going to talk about the best banners you should be summoning on in the next update, which is going to be 3.7. Now, these are all the reruns we are getting. The first half will feature Sirene, Casterus, Triby, and Hyacine along with their light cones, and then the second half will feature Cipher, Phanon, and Midday, right? Now, I have a list. You're going to see one of them stands out, which is E1. So I'll go ahead and just get that one out of the way already, which is Tribute, right? All these characters are thought of in mind at E0. And then, obviously their light codes, also going to get ranked. So it's just E0, right? Except for Tribute. Because I still think that E1 Tribute is the best investment to have out of the entire like 3.0 into 4.0 like characters, right? Do I like using her, or do I have E1 Tribute? I actually don't, right? I intend to get E1 Tribute now, but E1 Tribute is extremely good, and you can just run her on literally just like every team, and she has good 4-star light cones to use, so it's just the easiest value, right? Now these other characters, I originally didn't want to rank them in their own tier, but I think I might have to. Right, obviously every character in the same tier, it just really depends on what your account needs or what you want, right? But first things first, we gotta put good old Hyacine in S. Actually, do I want to put her a tier higher? I think I'm gonna put Hyacine a tier higher, honestly. Hyacine is such a good sustain that it's actually insane, and when you get her light cone, she just becomes a DPS, and it's actually like crazy, right? Donhang's also extremely good. Actually, the fact that Donhang's free now, and I don't think he is on her level. I think she's better, but the fact that Donhang's free now, I think technically hurts her in the sense that if you already had another sustain and then you got Donhang, you don't need Hyacine by any means. She's just very good, especially for HP scaling teams. So I'll actually just put her with the rest of them, right? Then next up, value wise, I would say is probably Casterus, just because every mode chills the hell out of her, right? Her team is extremely fed with, Hyacine herself, right? Evernight. You can run Triby, you can run Cipher, you can run Sirene. Like, it's just disgusting. Like, the amount of damage this team outputs is crazy because Triby, can be like a sub DPS. Hyacine does damage. Castrus is like the main DPS on the team. You can run Sirene to boost all of them because they're all Chrysos heirs, right? You can have Cipher who just accumulating the damage and then ulting. You can have Evernight who's also just a sub DPS. Just everyone on the team just does damage, or is just like, I mean, even Siren can do damage, right? So the team is just damage, right? Incarnate, and they are like basically immortal half the time because they're all HP scaling. Obviously Cipher isn't, but like, the team is just so damn tanky. It's actually kind of insane, right? So I highly recommend Castros, right? Then next up, I actually recommend Hyacine Light Cone, right? Now the reason for this pick is because it's just so it's so good, right? This light cone will not only increase her speed, it also gives her HP drain, which would be good in teams like Blade for proccing his passive, right? Plus, it just makes you do more damage and damage dealt. It's just a overall extremely good light cone for Hyacine, right? So I recommend it, right? Even above Caster's getting her own light cone. Then next up, ooh, this one's going to be a bit rough. I feel like this might be a bit controversial, and that is going to be Cipher. Now, the reason I have Cipher above Sirene is because Cipher should age a lot better, right? I do think Sirene is technically better at the moment, right? But Cipher has one of those kits to where as long as the characters on your team are doing damage, she should just be good overall. Unless someone comes along that's just so good that her buffs don't matter, right? Or her debuffs, I should say. Or we get a character who does something similar to her, she should be good because she accumulates the damage dealt. Meaning, if your DPSs are doing more and more damage, the more and more like power creep, she's getting more and more stacks, right? So it really just comes down to if a support drops that straight up just like obliterates everything, right? And then there's no need to even like have Cypher on the team, right? But I don't think we're at that point yet, right? Then next up, I'll have Sirene, right? I will have Sirene. I mean, she's really good for Crisis Stairs. Crisis Stairs kind of just run rampant right now. She does have a bit of issues, right? But she's still a good character. Like, she's still like a good DPS slash support slash like. I mean, she kind of like does everything besides heal, right? I probably won't have like a DPS version of her, right? Because I'm not gonna go for her light cone, so I need all the speed sets I can get, right? But she's another one of those characters that just does a bunch of stuff that's very good for the teams, right? But she is a bit clunky, and then some of her like unique Crisis Airs support stuff will kind of like fade out when we're like not using as many Crisis Air, and that's where Cipher will like get back up on being better than her. So I think I just have to put Cipher above her, right? Then next up, I think I'd put Cipher light cone, honestly. The light cone is a Nihility light cone, and it's pretty much like an increased version of Pearls, which is the Luca light cone. This light cone increases speed, inflicts a debuff that just makes you do more damage to enemies, right? And it's just overall extremely good. You can run this on you can run this on Pela. If you don't have Cipher, you get Cipher's light cone. You can run on Pela. You can run it on like I'm very rarely. I've seen it on Kafka even for more speed and more whatchamacallit. But overall, it's just a pretty solid light cone. I mean, I don't really know what else to say about it, right? It's just like, if you played Starro at the beginning of the game, you'll know how good Pearls was. Pearls was incredibly good, right? And the fact that this one is just Pearls, but even better with speed is just, it's actually kind of crazy, right? I wish that we had this sooner for characters like Pela, because oh my god, people would have been eating it up as like one of the best investments for your account. I still think it is a really good light cone, but I feel like less people are using Pela, and Nihility is not really a team that just has, or Nihility is not really a class that has a bunch of like characters just out and about now. Most of them are just dot units besides Cipher, right? So that could also be a hurting factor, but very good light cone. Next up would be Phanon. Phanon is still extremely good DPS. You know, he can be a bit slow if you're like a Zero Cycle fan. You know, he may not be for you, but overall he's still extremely strong, right? I just think everyone else just so like absurd, right? That unfortunately he just gets knocked down, right? You pretty much like, I feel like I like sustainless Phanon. Do I want to put Phanon above Cypher's light cone? I actually think I will. I've changed my mind, right? Phanon will be above for light cone just because you can run him pretty like free to playish, because he can use Bronya, he can use Ting Yun, he can use Sirene, he can use obviously the Donheng that just came out, so he gets some bonuses, he'll go up. I do think Sirene is an overall better pick than him, specifically just because Sirene, I mean, it really depends on your account. Like I said, if you don't have any of the Crisis Airs, Phanon is definitely going to be a better option than Sirene, because you don't have anyone to actually buff a Sirene, so do keep that in mind. But Phanon's still very good DPS. You know, can't go wrong there. This is where it gets a little tricky. I guess I'd have Phanon's light cone right here. It's really only for him, but he really does want the speed and, I mean, obviously the extra damage from his light cone, right? It's kind of hard to like, do I want to knock it down to A, because it's really like, you really would get it for him and not just the fact that light cone's good. Like, you can use Hyacinth light cone on other Remembrance characters because it gives speed, right? And then this light cone is just, like I said, better Pearls, so like, I'll put an A. I mean, you can run other light cones on Phanon, but he really wants his, but it's not like a bunch of characters can use it, so I'll knock it down to A. Caster's light cone over his. I think I might probably will have it above his, because Caster's light cone, let me pull it up on the side so I get the full effect. Yeah, Caster's light cone increases max HP, right? Which Remembrance characters can use. When the wearer Remembrance Right lose HP during their own turn, the wearer gains Death Flower. Okay, that was hard. When the wearer's Remembrance Right disappears, advance the wearer's action by 12%. I mean, it's technically more universal than Phanon's, right? So I'll give her the edge on it, technically, right? They're both icons where you just want to give it to their user, right? Then next up, we have Midday and B. Midday isn't a bad character by any means, but he definitely just doesn't get nearly as much love as the other characters for like no reason whatsoever. So I have to put him down in B. I think he's the easiest skip of this patch by far. And yeah, that's all it has. All there is to it, right? Then we have Sirene Light Cone, right? I actually think I will do this, right? With it, because Sirene's Light Cone is definitely just a better pick than Midday, because you're probably going to have Sirene, right? Sirene doesn't need her Light Cone, right? It's not too incredibly great, but it will help with, one, getting her speed requirement up, because it's like 180, I believe. And it does, 6% isn't a huge jump from the free-to-play Light Cone, but it will give you like a bit more speed, obviously, right? Also, you don't have to worry about the turn requirements. I know a lot of people are commenting like, oh, the Light Cone from the Herder shop, like you can't skill once you ult with Sirene. It's like, yeah, I know. It's still like, it still should be better, right? The Light Cone's still not great, but the speed requirement is kind of carrying it. If it didn't give as much speed, then I probably would have just had it in D. But still, I still think it's better than Midday. And the Midday's Light Cone is C. Honestly, I just use the Blade Light Cone and call it a day. Obviously, his lone Light Cone's going to be the best for him, but Midday is also not like in the greatest spot ever in his life, right? Sirene definitely helped him with the buffs that she gives him, but not enough to be like, yeah, get him over Casterus or anything. And then, the Tribute Light Cone's weird, bro. How do I want to word this tier? Maybe? Okay, so Tribute Light Cone's weird. Tribute Light Cone, in the technical sense, would probably be like up here in A, right? The only reason it's in maybe is because I don't run Tribute as a sub DPS. She can be a sub DPS very easily. Her Light Cone increases her own damage by a good chunk, right? I believe it is giving her... I can't remember the amount of crit damage off the top of my head. Let me actually pull it up again. So True's Light Cone is boosting her crit damage by 36%. That's what it was, almost at 26. After the wearer launches the follow-up attack, additionally generates 12 energy and gains presage, lasts for 2 turns. While the wearer has that, all allies crit damage increases by 48%. When entering battle, the wearer generates 1 energy and gains presage, lasts for 2 turns. So a 48% crit damage buff to the whole team gives herself 36% crit damage, and then you get 12% energy every follow-up attack. And then you obviously start with 21 more energy, right? This is very good. True's Light Cone is actually extremely good, right? I actually really like her Light Cone. The only reason it is in a maybe is because you could still kind of get a sub DPS out of her if you don't have the Light Cone, especially with E1. And the fact that DDD exists. DDD is insanely good. It can literally save runs. It could save you from dying from, having sustainless. It could save you from dying in general if you just get your sustain above the big attack. It could make you jump up a cycle and actually get a good clear. It can just do a bunch of stuff. And that's the only reason I have it in maybe, right? It's a good pickup. If you aren't using DDD or don't have DDD or don't want to use DDD, then yeah, her Light Cone is going to be really, really good. But like I said, it really just depends. So I'll just have it in maybe, bro. It is what it is, right? Other than that, this is what I recommend to what you should summon on. This is technically ordered, but you could really just jump around depending on what you have to build. I think by far the best option is going to be Tribi herself, getting her to E1, and then kind of just going with the HP team. If you have DPSs already and you don't want to run Casterus, you already have Tribi, you're fine with Donhang, then honestly the best character to summon for is probably just going to be Sirene herself, right? I'm just using my Cipher bias because I really like using Cipher, and I truly think she's going to age better, but Sirene would technically be the best one if you're not running HP team and you already have Tribi, right? But yeah, that's pretty much it. Let me know what you guys think. I think overall, every character besides Midday is really good, like good value if you pick them up. So yeah, there's really like no wrong answer, honestly. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, what characters you're summoning for, and of course, I will catch y'all in the next one. Thanks for watching.